But Karajan, towards death, being old and sick, he had an approach like an old man and a sick man who is accepting death. Muti, at the time he was 50, and he was aggressive, and he was going against this idea of death, which is, with the adoration that I have for Muti, is much less interesting. Karajan approach was stunning, and this is what makes you grow and become. For instance, if I would have not lived that experience, when I came to do my first Boris, I could have never understood it. So you have to really treasure what you do professionally day after day, and it will make out of you a much better artist.
This is quite a fabulous coincidence, Ferruccio, because one of the productions we're doing this summer is Don Giovanni. So everything you're saying kind of, I hope, falls into this very, very open and very interested. I was fascinated, of course, to hear all of this. Yes.
Well, if you are playing the role of Giovanni, you really need to think about your ending in that specific moment, in the trio of the killing of the Commendatore. Then life is leading you to that. You don't have any other possibility. You're going to die in that way, and to end up your life in that way, in that moment, in that way. I mean, honestly, the title role is not Giovanni, it's death.
Any more questions, guys? Yeah?
I was wondering, you spoke about having to work, like there being a lot of professional singers having to work with less professional, or as you said, amateur stage, or directors. I was wondering whether you saw that in all areas of like Europe and the U.S., or whether it was, mostly in the U.S. or in other countries.
No, you are a bit here in this particular field. You are luckier than us Europeans, because in the States you don't have yet this problem. It's going to come. It's going to come because already some prominent theaters have hired some of these deadly directors. In Europe is really a big problem. It's a tremendous problem, and as I said before, these bad directors have the right to be bad directors, because most of them are coming from theater, from Schauspieler, from the movie area, from operetta, and they come to opera, I repeat, because it's a better business. There is more money in it. And what is outrageous is that they don't have the preparation, professional preparation, to be directing opera, because most of them don't know music. It's inconceivable. Most of them make the direction not with the score, but with the libretto. And with the libretto, where, for instance, there is the Italian text here and their own language text on the other side, and they don't know even the language. Can you imagine if a theater director would put together on stage a Shakespeare piece without knowing English? or literature, or history? Not possible. But in opera, everything is possible. Everything is possible. And I repeat, they have the right to be ignorant in incompetent, because, I mean, if they are hired, the real fault, I repeat, stays in the artistic administration of the opera houses today, which are led mostly by the competent.
That's unfortunate.
Inspiring, eh?
You spoke about learning to take in a character inside, living the character inside your own skin. I'm wondering, what are the first steps you take when you're first taking on a character? How does, you know, how do you bring them
There
into
wasn't
the
a first step, you know. It was just the luck to work with a very special director who little by little made me understand what I should have done. I mean, because he was showing you, as being also an actor, he was showing you what you should do, with what kind of pathos, with what kind of inspiration, and then, luckily, if your brain is meant to understand the things, you have the possibility to put together the various things. I mean, inspiration, pathos, word, and word applied to a specific music. And then gradually you will understand that basically all these things together are creating a feeling, which could be pain, which could be jealousy, which could be suffering, joy, whatever. And then you will understand that the word is the most important vehicle for this, in whatever language, because I mean, I sing a lot Russian repertoire. I cannot say that I speak the language as I wished, but I deeply understand it. I studied a lot to say it in the proper way. And then you can apply this concept to whatever language, to whatever word, in whatever language. And the result is so rewarding, I tell you, because it could be exhausting, mentally tiring, to live the life of an historical character like Boris or King Philip. There is no other thing in the world that can gratify you like being this character in the most honest way under your own skin. This is an enormous privilege. I mean, luckily I do a lot of Don Carlos and Boris and Don Quixote, even if Don Quixote is not an historical character to live, but Don Quixote is probably my favorite one. Why? Well, probably is the closest to my way of living, to my way of thinking, to my way of feeling things. Don Quixote, of course, I'm far away from being so perfect like Don Quixote is. Don Quixote is a myth. Don Quixote is what every man should be, at least for 1 minute in life. Don Quixote loves everything that is surrounding him. He loves people, he loves the animals, he loves the air, the light, the colors. He loves. And to be this character for 3 hours and a half of your life, to honestly living under, as if you were the character, could be exhausting at the end. You could be ready to go in bed and stay there for 24 hours, but there is nothing more rewarding than that. Because you have time I did it very close to me, here in California, in San Diego. It was, not last time I did it, but last time I did it in this area was 3 years ago in San Diego, which is a big hall. It's over 3,000 people. And the final scene, the death of Don Quixote, is amazing. And when you go out at the very end, alone, forget your curtain calls immediately after the death, and you see 3,200 people jumping on their feet. And most of them, because you can see them, because they are pretty close, with wet eyes. This is stunning. This is the greatest richness you can receive. There is no money in the world that can pay this. This is the greatest reward you can get in life.
Can I follow up a little bit on sort of this question there? Is there any difference the way you were approaching a new role, like 20 years, 30 years ago, when you were very young, just a beginner, and you approached a new role, how would you go, what steps you would take? And how would you approach now with all this knowledge and experience? What would be the difference?
Well, basically it was the same, I would say. Then, of course, nowadays you can add all the experience that you have. And then I try to see, in my eyes, the movie of that specific character that I am learning. And if you do so, you have the possibility to change things, because you see yourself doing that. You like it, you don't like it. And, but basically the approach is the same. When it's a major role, and luckily it happens since many years to go through major roles, I go through, then I let it rest without looking at it for a month, 2 months. When you take it back, it's astonishing to see how much you developed inside yourself in these 2 or 3 months of nothing. Because your brain is working, nevertheless. And when you go back to it, you find things that 2 months before you